I'm Stephen. I'm from Incessant. It's a great pleasure today to be on stage here with Ben from Lloyds of London. What we want to try and do, we've got 10 minutes, so we want to just try and give you a bit of a flavour of what we've done together, the good, the bad, the ugly, and kind of what the system does, and obviously what the kind of future is. So, Ben, maybe let's start with Lloyds of London. Most people kind of know the name Lloyds. Why don't you just give us a quick background on who Lloyds are?
Sure. So good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Thomas, and I work for Lloyds of London. For those of you who don't know Lloyds, it's the world specialist insurance and reinsurance marketplace. And we've built our expertise over the past 3 centuries. And basically, we have been at the heart of insurance for that time.
Okay, fine. So the system, so you're in the audit part of the organisation. So the system that you put PEGA in to do, AIMS I think it's called. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what AIMS is?
Yeah, so I'll just give a little bit of an explanation as to why we've got to the point today. So like any insurer, Lloyds is facing a challenging time in how we stay relevant in a fast changing world. And back in June 2016, we launched an ambitious program to innovate pretty much our entire DA application. Because at the moment, I don't know if many of you know, but the insurance market is quite behind in the sense of its digitalisation processes. So we embarked on a journey to make London cheaper and easier to do business with and revolutionise our entire process. And to do that, we have 4,000 cover holders around the world who basically work with the London market and write business. And the whole process is very inefficient from start to finish. So we need to revolutionise each aspect of that cycle. And part of the journey which I'm focused on is how we audit our cover holders. Because at present, some of these guys were being audited up to 10, 15 times a year, and it was highly inefficient. Everybody knows that audits are not the favourite thing that people want to be done, and so we needed to improve that process to make life easier. And so what we embarked on was a mission to bring a system to the London market whereby we could consolidate all of those audits, and so cover holders could just have one single audit which took place on an annual basis. And that's basically how we started our journey together.
So I think, being honest, I think the first project was a bit of a challenge. I think 3 months, we estimated it's going to take about 3 months, and it actually took about a year. So what were some of the challenges that you guys had during that time?
I think the challenge we had, if you're going to eat the elephant, do it slice by slice, and we didn't do that. We went for the big, ambitious, let's build the entire application in one, which in many ways was great. However, many of the users were not ready for that. And so whilst we built a new system to conduct the complete process from end to end, it wasn't ready to meet the needs of the end-to-end user. And that's where our main challenges came from. And not only that, but conducting an audit can take up to 6 to 7 months by the time you do the scheduling, the scoping, you're quoting the entire process. And trying to build something in a 3-month timeline, your testing is critical, and that's when you realise that you've missed many parts of the application. And so it did throw up many challenges.
So we did the project about 2 years ago. The last year you've been doing very much production support, you've been running the system, building up a backlog of changes and any defects and those sorts of things. But we embarked on some project work about 6 months ago, which I think we had quite a unique amount of effort on your part, I think. So you came out to Hyderabad, which is where one of our delivery centres is, and as the product owner went to a full agile methodology, and you came out and actually sat with our team. So tell us a bit about how that all worked.
Yeah, sure. So like any new application, our one AIMS, it had many challenges. It wasn't a seamless transition. We had issues being raised left, right and centre, and my word, the market let me know about it. But what that did is it gave us a base to think, okay, we have a product, it's not perfect, but we can see what's working and what isn't working. And in that time, what I did, and it kind of relates to the main message from the stage today, was I put myself in the user's position, and I got battered for several months but I understood the empathy that they had and looked at their pain points and what was working and what wasn't working. And so then we put them in the heart of the driving seat and said, what is it that you guys need? And by doing that, we've absolutely turned a corner, and we've been able to take the system from being very challenging and go against everything the London market wanted, to have efficiency and so on. We've now been able to deliver a system which is really streamlining processes for the entire market. But it's taken a long time. I then went out to Hyderabad and practically lived there
for a while, I think.
3 months to deliver the change we've needed. But I don't know if many of you in here are currently planning on having systems for yourselves, but immersing yourself in the heart of not only the customer but also the developers who are building the system is key, because previously I just looked at these guys as, oh, they can just code anything, but they can code but they don't know the actual business, and bridging that gap is fundamental. And since then, our usage over the last 3 months, our usage has been trebling each month. So that relationship is key.
So I think, one of the things we're looking at now is, obviously you can't dedicate months at a time to come out and sit with our teams out offshore. So now we're looking at, can we start bringing people on site as well? So I think you're quite keen on moving to a slightly different model now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think because of the changing world we're in, and we see PEGA releasing new features all of the time, kind of what we built 3 months ago, okay, that was great, but actually a new product has come along that we can actually implement and further streamline processes and make people's lives easier. So we're constantly changing, we're constantly redeveloping everything that we do, and having that close relationship is absolutely crucial in developing and meeting the expectations of our end users.
So this all culminated in, you had a conference last week, I think, where you went to the market and demoed the new system, with new UI, new reports and those sorts of things. So how did that go?
Conference went very well. What we have to understand is we can have the greatest technology in the world, but if people aren't ready to use it and don't know how to use it, it's absolutely pointless. And so you have to bring people on that journey with you. And if you get that right and make them feel involved and part of the process, and actually more often not make them think that they're driving the change, it's a real winner. And we launched our new system. And I think what I try and say to people is, we've all got smartphones in here, whether it's an iPhone 8, 9, whatever. Just remember the first iPhone. And what we have to do with our system now is turn it into an iPhone 1 to an iPhone 2 and get to an iPhone 7 and 8, so that it becomes a fantastic product for the market. And I think as long as you keep developing, you'll get to that point.
Cool. So what's next for PEGA and Lloyds?
I need a holiday, because the last 18 months have been relentless. But this one system that we're working on is only part of the DA journey. The entire cycle is very complex, and we need to remodernise our entire processes. We have more to do, and we just have to continue that relationship and keep providing users with the instruments that they need to do their jobs better, because all of us are getting more and more stretched, and if we can have technology to help us bridge that gap, then it's only a winner.
Okay, fair. So I think we've got time for a couple of questions. The clock that I got down here has changed numbers several times now, so I actually don't know what time I'm on. 2 minutes. Okay, so do we have any questions whilst we're here?
It sounds like there's a lot of money goes through. You start in one place and a bit more bit there, grows arms and legs, and you've got to bring business users in, and they've got day jobs, and it all gets bigger and bigger and bigger. How do you keep the finance guys happy? You must be always going back and asking for more cash. How do you keep the internal stakeholders believing in the journey?
Yeah, it's very challenging.
Challenges for you at Lloyds.
Yeah, it's very challenging. At one point, I think we probably were thinking, do we just scrap this entire application? But you try and get as many people involved to help you with the design, development and the build as possible, but not really many people are interested initially. They're only interested when they have to start using this thing and it's impacting their lives and making their day-to-day job more challenging. So that's the point you actually get everybody's attention. And then I think if you can demonstrate change, and by tackling each part of the process slice by slice and making it absolutely perfect, you can start to see results. and then you start to drive usage in the initial stage. And I've always used that as my kind of key platform to show
to some sort of financial business case.
exactly.
Chunk at a time, you have to show a return at certain chunks.
Exactly. That's been our approach, to say, right, it's working here. The rest of the application needs work. We're moving to the next phase, and if we apply the same approach with everybody's engagement, then by the time we get to the end, yeah.
I absolutely get your point about designing the system that the end users were going to use it. But did you come across scenarios whereby the users have designed the system, or when it comes to adoption and the users themselves using the system, they're coming up with significant resistance of using the system that they have designed?
My challenge was we have many users. We have about 6,500 users, which doesn't sound that many on the grand scheme of things, but the majority of them all have their own businesses. And so what we were actually trying to do was combine nearly 6,500 business models into one system. And that was very challenging because everybody does things differently. And absolutely you can sometimes come across a scenario where some people want to go one way with it and yourself the other, but a lot of time some people actually don't know which way they want to go with things, and that's sometimes where you need to collaborate and say, okay, this is how we're currently doing things, have you thought about this, come up with a product, and then using it.
Okay, so we're out of time. I can feel presents coming to get us off stage. We'll be on the Incessant booth. We're outside, so if you want to come and say hello and ask any further questions of either myself or Ben, we'll be there during the rest of the break. So thank you.
Thank you. That'd be great.